Submarines aren't real. What an interesting thought, don't you think? Like talk about, you know, challenging the status quo. And it's interesting how biggest submarines. Oh, this is a future submarine. Look at the future submarine. The future submarine is the nuclear cruise missile submarine out of Russia, 49 feet beam, 604 feet in length. 604 feet in length. You think that's real, right? You buy into this. This submarine is the big one at the top is the future, and then these are the ones that are available now. But the craziest part about this is like one, how angry it seems to make people, and two, like I'm at 100% risk in this, right? Because at any point, I'm just reading what I'm supposed to read. I put I put submarines into the Google machine. I click enter, and then the wiki comes up, and I click on the wiki. See, submarines, Wikipedia. No, nothing, no foul play here. So I'm looking at the things that could essentially prove me wrong. I mean, that's what this is. I'm basically trying to prove myself wrong. And it's amazing how difficult this is. So we did the first submarine on record. Is by a guy called Cornelius Drebbel in 1620. Cornelius Drebbel, who it's surprising that we don't know who, right? That you guys don't know who he is, that most of us don't know who he is. When it comes, when the narrative is that this guy could make it thunder and lightning on command, you would think he would be a bigger character in our historical narrative. But for some reason, he's not. 1620 was the first sub, and that one worked. Apparently, that's the only sub in history that worked, because in after they have this successful submarine in 1620, I guess none of the military or important people in a day thought a boat that could move underwater would be valuable, I guess. I mean, I just don't even understand this is that chat GPT sort of stupid narrative where it's just tying together loose ends, sorta, but it doesn't matter whether it makes sense or not. Because what do you think the chances are that somebody is, first of all, going to be skeptical in whether submarines exist to begin with, let alone go looking into it and looking into the narrative that we're given skeptically? It's the narratives we're given, they're good as long as you already sort of accept the narrative. But if you question things and you go trying to read about things, hello, Fire VR 100, you go trying to question these things and figure things out, you'd be surprised. Like it always reminds me of book reports. That's what all of these entries, basically the historical narrative that we're supposed to know. And for those that think, oh, you're going to Wikipedia. Wikipedia is blah. Like I had somebody accuse me of reading the stuff that I edit. If you look, the edit feature is locked. Do you see that? It's locked. So you can't edit it, and nobody can edit it. I especially can't edit anything on Wikipedia because my global IP address is blocked. until January 15th of 2026 or some shit like that. 4:29 in the afternoon. Like it's really weird, but the information that's here on this Wikipedia page, when it comes to official shit like submarines or the Bible or whatever, when you read Wiki, you're reading what the system wants you to know, and it's not able to be interfered with because it's what the system wants us to know. It's what kids doing book reports are going to go find and then regurgitate. It has to be true according to the narrative, and it can't be edited because that would lead to too many mishaps, too many people thinking for themselves, too many people asking too many questions. So the truth is, I should be able to, like, if submarines are real, I should be able to go on this page and just fucking prove myself wrong really easily. And I think that what they've convinced people of is that they can make boats that the majority of the boat goes underwater. Might even all of it might be able to go just under the surface of the water for a short period of time. But the idea of submarines, those big submarines, the Hunt for Red October submarines floating around and swimming like dolphins and shit, that doesn't happen. I really don't think we have those. I think they have boats that most of the boat can be underwater, and again, maybe even all of it can go underwater for a minute or two. But I don't think they have submarines. And so I've been trying to show you. I've been trying to prove myself wrong. So after 1620, when Cornelius Drebbel did it, it was another 147 years. In 1747, Nathaniel Simons patented and built the first known working example of the use of a ballast tank for submersion. So the next sort of evolution of submarines is another 120 years. Then you get another 50 years or so, almost 1775. The Turtle is made, and the first military submersible was Turtle, a hand-powered acorn-shaped device designed by the American David Bushnell to accommodate a single person. And it's fucking silly. I've already looked it up in both videos. I've already shown you. If you want to look, I suggest you do. It's fucking silly. To think that it's actually like supposedly a legitimate story is just, it's insulting. And yet again, it's another one of these things where the majority of the boat is underwater, but there's still a top part sticking out. And there's so many questions that come to mind that you just, I mean, I challenge you to answer them, right? Cam is grainy. Nothing I can do about it. Ask yourself why a guy in the suburbs of Detroit, surrounded by cell phone towers on the second floor of his house, why that feed would be even slightly interfered with. How does that make sense? I'm in the suburbs. I'm surrounded by cell towers. The only way my feed would be grainy or screwed up is because they want it to be. But that's up to you. I mean, again, this is where, like, this is where we sort of draw lines, right? You can either believe that the government gives you social media for free and can't interfere, or the social media that they give us for free is given to us on purpose and they can interfere with it however they want. Like, I just... I guess it just comes from your knowledge of history, you know. Prior to the internet and us letting the government into our lives wholeheartedly and telling them, you know, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I look for, you know, all the things that the internet provides them. Prior to that, the government, the CIA, the FBI, whatever other organizations they had, spent gazillions of dollars putting, fake people in places just so they could gain information. Putting agents in towns and having them infiltrate all the systems they could so that they could, they could get as much information as they could. So nowadays, they provide us the same, they provide us with the big brother system, and you don't think that they can interfere? You don't think they can manipulate this system any way they want? Facebook, last time I checked, and this was years ago, this was like 2 years ago, had 2.9 billion users worldwide. If Facebook decided that, they could even do it for the good. If they said, look, Facebook's going to do good around the world, and in order to do good around the world, we're going to start charging people $1 a month to use Facebook. It's going to go onto your phone bill. You'll never actually notice, you'll never get a separate bill, or it'll just be an extra dollar is added to your phone bill every month. 99.999% of us would still use Facebook. We wouldn't have a problem with it. That extra dollar a month, especially considering it's basically like a scrapbook of some sorts for a lot of us. It has all our memories and all that shit on it. And they could say, look, we're going to give the 100% of the proceeds to charities all over the world. $1 per month for everybody to make the world a better place. Nobody'd have a problem with it. Almost nobody. There'd be one or two. And well, there'd be more than one or two, but it'd be a small percentage. And so that's we'll just round it up. That's $3 billion every month that Facebook could be making and using it to make the world better. That's $36 billion a year. On the other hand, if Facebook decided, hey, we just want to make some more money, they could make an extra $36 billion a year and split it up between their executives, and nobody would say anything. $1 a month, they could charge us $5 a month, and 99% of the people would still do it instead of 99.999. And that's $150 billion a year they could make extra and split it amongst themselves, and they don't. You think that they do all that? They don't collect that extra $150 billion a year? They give it to us for free, and you don't think there's anything funny about that? Here we go again. Week 3 of YouTube recommending you to me randomly in scrolls in my scrolls algorithm. So the thing is, you could easily tell YouTube you don't want this page, and it's not week 3. It might be week 3 of you being here, but you come here every day. So stop acting like I'm not the most important person in your life right now. You give yourself away and you sound silly. You were out here a week ago talking about how Camel Toe Harris was going to win. What you got to say now? I never said she was going to win. I thought she might. But I think anybody who votes, who supports Trump, I think you're just racist trash. And I think you're stupid. Either way you support the voting system is stupid. You've been duped. But, the Trump side is the racist trash. And the Kamala side is just stupid. Just plain stupid. Stupid racist or stupid. You had your pick. But this is, this is that stupid desperation that I spoke about numerous times. And obviously you've been here, so you heard me say it. Not at all a Kamala supporter. But because you're a dumb Trump supporter, I have to be a Kamala supporter. I thought there might be a chance because of the way they were doing things when they had the more qualified woman losing. But I even said then, it won't matter if she wins or loses the vote. If the system wants Trump in office, they'll do what they did in 2016. Let's talk about that part too. Since you watched my videos, hey, how about you bring up that Trump lost in 2016 by 2.7 million votes and the swamp put him in anyway? What about that part? See, stupidity is like a drive-by. It's drive-by stupidity. They come and they shoot their gun and then they run away because they don't want to be hit. They're pussies. They're not going to come meet somebody face up and do whatever. They got to do the the drive-by shit. Anyway, I don't want to talk about this right now. I want to go back to the submarines because this is important. So, Turtle was 1775. Then we jump again to 1800 to Nautilus. And Turtle, 1775, was a failure. It failed. It worked, but it failed. And then Nautilus was a French design in 1800 by a French submarine built by American Robert Fulton, which also failed. Then you have 1850, Willem Bauer's Brauntalker was built in Germany, and it remains the oldest known surviving submarine in the world, except it failed. The only reason it's the oldest known surviving submarine is because apparently in 1850, when it was built and used, it failed and sank to the bottom of the canal, at least 16 meters, or what, like 48 feet, something like that. It in 1887, they somehow discovered this thing at the bottom of the canal. 1887, they discovered this thing at the bottom, and they were able to raise it up. They had the ability in 1887 to not only search and look at the bottom of of a canal, down at the. Think about it. Just think about, what are they using? They don't have power tools. They don't have lights. Like, how are they at the bottom of a canal, searching for an old shipwreck, finding it, and then raising it? But that's what they did. In 1864, the Confederate Army had the H.L. Hunley, which was the first military submarine to sink an enemy vessel. Though it didn't really sink it, it just attacked it really good. And the Hunley failed. It was sank in the process. It was one of three the three designs, the Pioneer 2, and then the H.L. Hunley, all of which sank. In 1866, Submarine Explorer was the first submarine to successfully dive, cruise underwater, and resurface under the cruise control. So, this is one of these submarines. This is what they say. In 1866, they built a submarine that connected to a tube and went up to a vessel on the top of the water. So it wasn't independent. It was still connected to the lifeline tube. But apparently it got as deep as 103 feet underwater. It was 103 or 130, something like that. 100. It was used for collecting oysters. It was an oyster collector. And it was after constructing, Submarine Explorer was partially disassembled and transported to Panama in December of 1866, where she was reassembled to harvest oysters and pearls in the Pearl Islands. Experimental dives with the Submarine Explorer in the Bay of Panama ended in 1867 when Kroll died of fever. The craft languished. They just left it on the beach. They just left it on the beach until another group of people found it in 1869, repurposed it, did a couple of dives, and then left it on the beach again. Where is the diving depth? Just think about it. I mean, let's see. I want to. Why can't I find the depth? Maybe it's okay. Yeah. Contemporary August 1869 newspaper account of dives in the Submarine Explorer off Panama documents 11 days of diving to 103 feet, spending 4 hours per dive, and ascending with a quick release of pressure, which made it. But they were able to, in 1869, they built a vessel that could go 103 feet down. They opened the hatch on the bottom because it was pressurized air being pumped in from up above somehow. I mean, again, they don't have power tools and shit, but they have this mechanism that can pump air down, pressurized air. 200 pounds per, what was it? 200 pounds per square inch. That's how pressurized this air was that was pumped into this submarine compartment, that the bottom opened and they could pluck oysters up from the bottom because the pressure from the inside of the tank kept the water out. This is the narrative. This is the narrative that they give us. This is what you have to believe. If you believe in submarines, then you have to believe that this is the truth. And this is the truth. Have been on subs. Oh, this is the dumb girl. Marissa. This is the one that gets mad because I don't believe that all of the women in Hollywood are actually men and all the men in Hollywood are actually women. I actually did a video about this not a week ago or so. I was hoping she'd show up and show off how stupid she is, but here we go. So, hey guy, please spare me the shit talking. I'm getting ready for work. IDK, why I like to listen to you rant, because it's truth. Truth is sexy. Not saying you necessarily want to fuck it, but I probably could if you're a female. But it's truth. Truth is always going to be sexy. You're gonna be attracted to truth. I don't know why I like listening to you, because it's the truth and there's nothing you can do about it. And boy howdy, would I love to have the debate, the argument, the discussion, whatever it is, with this clown about her bigotry and her Hollywood conspiracy, her and Jesse Hall's bitch ass. But we're talking about something else here. So here we go. I've known people who worked on subs. Why don't you get out more, talk to people who have been on subs? Yep, that's what it is. Because it's funny how people like this is somebody who believes that everybody in Hollywood that's a man is a woman, everyone that's a woman is a man, and big conspiracy, yada, yada, yada. This is a person who thinks, yeah, the people who signed up and were in the military and then were used on submarines, they're going to tell me the truth. If they've been told not to tell us the truth, they're going to tell us the truth anyway. Because that's how military people are. I did my episodes. I thought, who gives a shit what you say? You're on my thing, you clown. I don't believe in, you need to get out more. See, again, so somebody that makes outrageous claims, you'd think would say, why do you think that way? Hey, let's figure this out. Let's talk about it. Let's do this. Instead, they do the same thing that they don't want people doing to them. Interesting, huh? The person that makes the outrageous claims then doesn't say, hey, let's figure it out. They say, oh, I believe what I'm told to believe about this. Why don't you? Pretty fun. Go to a museum, go to a seashore. See, this is where the arrogance comes in. So it's not like I'm making up some nonsense like all women in Hollywood are men and all men are women. And you could tell because of their Adam's apple. The Adam's apple. Women don't have Adam's apples. Yes, they do. But like, this is that person who will make stuff up and wants to be taken seriously. Whereas I'm literally reading you the information you're supposed to know. This is what you're supposed to believe. You have to believe this. My friend Gary is in Washington off the coast, and he sends me snaps of submarines emerging. Sure he does. Isn't that amazing? Out of the blue, this person just happens to have a friend who just happens to send them snapshots of submarines emerging. That's amazing, isn't it? Good thing that happened. I bet her whole life she was wondering, why does Gary keep sending me all these snapshots of submarines emerging? And now she knows why. So she could come on here and say that exact thing. Like, come on. Do you know how ridiculous this is? Anyways, you get what you deserve. Grainy feed with 5 watchers. Deuces. Yep, see? You start calling some clown out for being a clown. They can't. She's not going to back up anything she says. This is the clown that thinks she's allowed to come talk whatever shit she wants, but you're not supposed to talk shit back. Like, this is just, it's the same fucking dumb shit over and over and over. Pressure is just a matter of gravity and atoms above and around you pressing down on the area. If you breathe, if you're, Y-O-U-R, this guy is clearly super smart. If you're, Y-O-U-R, beneath the ocean and pull air from above, there's a pressure that develops since the ocean presses. Yeah, that's what it is. Says the smart guy. Says the smart guy. I mean, it's so dumb. You ever done that, right? You ever done that where you've like taken a let's say a bucket and you pull the bucket down, you know, you turn it upside down and you pull it down from the top of the water and you trap that air bubble in it and it makes it really hard to pull down. There's all that pressure because the air's trying to get up. Well, the thing is, if you tip that thing even slightly, the air rushes out and the water rushes in. So to think you're beneath the ocean floor, you're down on the ocean floor, 103 feet below the surface of the water, in your makeshift submarine, which is just a joke. It really is a joke when you look at what the sub, you know, what they show you is the actual sub, and you think, okay, so I still don't know how they're lighting it. They said that they used this glow in the dark moss, this glow in the dark fungi that glows, and you can read by it if you get really close, but it doesn't work when the temperature cools even a little bit. So it couldn't have been the mushrooms that they were using to light their way. So what were they? Were they lighting little? Did they have little fire, little candles or some shit in the pressurized air that they somehow had in 1869? 103 feet down. And they were able to do this. 1869. I don't claim to be smart. What's with the personal attack? Because you're in here trying to pretend like you know things when you can't even get basic English right. And I'm always going to have a pet peeve about that because I believe that's an example of the Jews making us stupid. And all the people out there that love to complain about how we've been dumbed down, society's so dumb, they've made us so dumb and lazy, and yet they use the wrong yours, tos, theirs. This is basic shit. You want to be taken seriously, you got to get those basic things right. That's the least. That's like at the very least, if you want your opinion, your argument to be taken seriously, don't get the your wrong. Okay, so then 1866, Flatch was built by Chilean government's request by Karl Flatch, a German engineer and immigrant. So somehow back in the 18 blah blahs, 40s, 50s, 60s, just like I guess throughout, all right, the Germans, man, it's those Germans. They can build anything. They can build and design anything. And Flatch was that's Flatch. I mean, it's just so silly. But it was lost on a test run the same year and is believed to lie on a seabed in the Bay of Valparaiso. So that's another failed submarine. Mechanically powered subs. This is where we left off yesterday. So mechanically powered subs, right? Submarines could not be put into widespread or routine service by navies until suitable engines were developed. The era from 1863 to 1904 marked a pivotal time in submarine development. This is the yada yada. A number of nations built and used submarines. Diesel-electric propulsion became the dominant power system, and equipment such as the periscope became standardized. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? They just go diesel-electric propulsion became that. They just tell you that's what it is. There's no graphic. Like, the one thing you'll notice in all of these is the details. There's lots and lots of nothing details. Lots and lots of details about, well, this guy claims to have done it, but this guy claims, and this guy, but they never tell you how anyone, the process by which they came up with these designs, the testing of it, what the materials were. It's amazing how it's the same every time. It's nothing details, so that when the average person leaves the article or whatever, they go, "Oh, I guess there was a lot of details. I seem to remember a lot of details, so that must mean it's true." The more details, the more true it is. So they pump it full of, and this guy, he liked to wear red shirts, and he had a dog, and the dog gave birth to a litter of puppies, 12 puppies even, and each puppy's name was this, that, and the other. And those puppies, this person took one of those puppies, and this person took two of those puppies, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? P.S. Not everybody has English as their main first language. If I'm illiterate in my main language, but not fully in English, is this really a valid metric to evaluate IQ? How fluent are you in a second language or even a third language? Well, the thing is, you clearly speak English as your first language. And even if you don't, if you have that much of a grasp on it that you're using metric and evaluating and fluent and all these other words that most stupid people don't use, then that's obviously a language that you speak fluently. See, this is the part where the real person, like, it's never happened, but the big person, the real person, I think it has happened once, says, you know what, dude, you're right. You're right. I want to be taken seriously. I should be able to get these basic words right. It's either laziness or stupidity, one of the two. And the thing is, if you're on your phone is probably going to tell you you're getting the word wrong, and you're just going to put it anyway. At this point, it's 2024. The little green line comes underneath the word if you use it wrong. And instead of being proud or making excuses for your laziness / stupidity, you should thank the person for pointing it out to you so that you can better yourself and fix it. But that's never how that works. That's never how that works. Nope, French is my first language. Well, I guess we just have to believe you, don't we? Anyway, the first submarine... Oh, wait, no, we're not there yet. Countries conducted many experiments on effective tactics and weapons for submarines, which led to their large impact in World War I. See, again, this is just so much yada yada. It's always interesting how this works, because this whole paragraph basically says nothing. The era from 1863 to 1904, the pivotal time, nations built and used submarines, diesel-electric propulsion just became a thing. What just fell? Where did it go? Oh. This is all it's all bullshit. This isn't, in any situation where you were trying to make an argument for something, none of this would be satisfactory. You'd have to come with more than just, the era from 1863 to 1904 marked a pivotal time in submarine development. The first submarine, okay, here we go, 1863 to 1904. Let's see how well they do this. The first submarine not relying on human power for propulsion was the French plongeur, diver. How do you say diver in French? Plongear.
Bonjour. Like a
Plongeur. Bonjour, plongeur. Bonjour, plongeur. Bonjour. Is that what you'd say to a diver? You'd say, plongeur, plongeur.
probably.
It's that, that's a great example of like when people talk about spells, and when they make a big deal out of spelling word, like, instead of saying capital I went to the store, they'll say EYE went to the store. You know what I mean? Like the Nicky Matner bullshit. When you think that how things are spoken in that way, that it matters. But you compare, if I said hello diver to bonjour plongeur, those words, like, there's no connection there. There's no way that those, like, that the magic happens to know all the different languages.
No, it just applies to English. And it was probably carefully crafted.
What just applies to English?
The the belief that it's all spells.
Well, no, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of conspiracy theorists who live in whatever country they live in who probably say the same thing about their language.
That doesn't apply to any of our words. You know what I mean?
What?
Because the spellings are so different.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. The spellings are different. Not just the spellings are different, the pronunciation, right. The cadence.
Like, believe isn't going to have the word lie in it in France.
Right. Exactly. That's a great point. Because people do that all the time. Look, lie is in believe, so that means it's just trying to tell you to believe the lie. It's like, well, how do you say lie in French?
I don't remember.
Well, again, is lie in the word for the French word for believe?
No, I think it's like no. I don't think there's a word for it. I think it's not truth. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a separate word. I think they just.
I'm sure they have a word for belief.
I'm saying for lie.
Oh,
I think it's not truth. I think is the actual translation. You know
interesting. What I mean? Which again, that makes that argument even more stronger.
Yeah, it's just an American
even more
thing.
Stronger. It's not just an American thing, as far as people, believing or thinking a certain way, but what Angela is pointing out is the hypocrisy and the stupidity and the, when people get lost in that and they end up spending tons and tons of time and energy. Like, I can't imagine how difficult it is to go through I write a paragraph and then I got to go through and rewrite it, find all the words, and then or as I'm doing it, Facebook or whatever keeps correcting me, keeps putting the right word in, and then I got to be like, no, Facebook, I meant to say EYE, and that's 2 extra types. That's 2 extra presses. After in a whole fucking page of paper, that shit's gonna build up. I mean, it just seems like it would take you so much longer to try to communicate the same message, which would actually be confusing to somebody that was reading it and wasn't hip to what you were doing. And even if they were, it would still be fucking ridiculous. Get a text from my mother-in-law and see if you can decipher that bullshit. And she doesn't even do it for any reason. That's just how she does her shit.
She comes up with her own abbreviations.
You gotta read the first few words and the next few, and you're
That's what she's trying to say.
Oh, okay. So because is BS for some reason? What the fuck? Why wouldn't she at least use BC? I don't know. The BZ, I don't know.
My mama.
That's my mother-in-law. All right, let's see. All right, let's pick apart your verbal grammar since you want to call me out. Sure, go ahead. My guy, your lungs work based on the same principles used for submarines. Sure they do. Sure they do.
Well, that's supposedly what they
buoyancy coined up. See, I love when people like Elon start talking to me about this shit. Like they just got done researching submarines and they happen to know. And like I'm not fucking reading the literal history of submarines according to the narrative that we're supposed to know. Guess what? Archimedes hasn't come up yet. But it's like this arrogance is just so strange.
Archimedes is in Sword of the Stone. Sword of the Stone, isn't it?
It's the cat. Yeah. Guys, Nathan, what are you doing, man? Nathan, why would he have to do anything if like what's your point? So go find it somewhere else. Yeah, you can.
The Jehovah's skipped us?
They went to Jessica's of all places first.
Did Jessica answer the door?
I believe so.
Damn it, Jessica.
I think she turned them away. They walked away relatively quickly.
I know. It's just I'm trying to. I got people asking about the cat that they're supposed to be meeting today.
Was the French plongeur launched in 1863? Let's see. Dude is recording on an iPhone 1. Ow! Ooh, ow! Cause like if I was cool, I would have a higher number iPhone, right? Is that what it is? I guess my feed is like super fucked up right now for some strange reason. Why do you think my feed is it because we live in the boonies?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. Now we're reconnecting because that makes sense. Right? Why wouldn't it make sense? I'm moving all around, right? I'm jumping in between towers. So that's why. Because when I walk over here, I'm in one tower, and then I walk over here, I'm in another. I just happen to live right on one of those lines, right?
And what I don't understand is, does it matter what phone you're on? Does that diminish your ability to research and find truth to stuff, depending on what phone you own? You're less truthful if you have an iPhone 1.
Hey, if I have a TV that other people can't afford, that makes my TV watching experience better, right?
I mean, it might.
Knowing that other people can't afford it?
If you're that type of person, I guess.
That's what I'm saying.
But, you know.
But that's all it is. It's just, this is what,
that was 99 they told you understand?
I tell you guys this every single day. Stupid is always going to argue its own narrative.
Stupid is as stupid does.
Right? Stupid is going to come in here and instead of, I'm literally talking about conspiracies. I'm literally talking about like, hey, I don't think submarines are real. Like, you don't have to make up your own narrative. You don't have to go digging for something, you know, that you believe that everybody else believes that I don't. You should be able to just engage in the conversation at hand and put me in my place. Right? But that never seems to happen. Let's see. Gotta read all this bullshit for some fucked up reason. Schizophrenia has increased with some genetic individuals who smoke too much weed. Yep, it must be it. See, we have to go into that because I'm bringing up stuff that you can't answer for. It must mean I'm crazy. And you know, me making up this narrative that I call Wikipedia, you know, that's pretty ingenious of me, don't you think? Don't you think it's genius of me to create a platform filled with information so that I could use it to lie to you? Dude spends all his time bitching to people and lives off of unemployment, probably. Yeah, that's me. Probably can't afford good internet or a good service call. That's what it must be.
Yeah, T-Mobile sucks.
Yeah. Good internet. It's my fault because I live in the suburbs. Oh man, you know us people in the suburbs in our 2-story houses.
right outside of a big city like Detroit.
Right. Turbulent currents also opposes submarine movement as physics guy I know. As physics guy I know. Sure you do. Tiger Stadium. Do you have mobile data on Wi-Fi? Is all turning off? No, it's just comedic. Yep. And then we always. I mean, how many years have you heard people say it's comedy to have me point out how stupid they are and them basically be used by me? Like I'm using you. You get that, right? I allow you to be here because I want you to be that example. If I didn't, I would just block you. If you were that dangerous and that much of a harm to me, I would block you. But you're here because I allow you to be. You're here because you serve a purpose. And I appreciate it. I do. Not a personal attack. I don't even like iPhones or Apple products. Who cares? Just letting you know that you are having connection issues. See, that would have been a lot easier, right?
Hey, you're having connection issues.
Right.
Instead of trying to insult, I guess. I don't know.
Wait, submarines aren't real. No. Oh, I can answer, but it doesn't want to it doesn't want to saturate into your mind. This guy is trying to use big words wrong, and this isn't even a big word, but he's using words wrong now. Oh, but let's take him seriously. It's not saturating into my mind.
Pick apart your grammar and verbiage.
Right, that's the guy.
Right, I figured.
You have only 5 viewers. You aren't using anyone, my guy. Yep, that's what it is. I have only 5 viewers. Naturally. And you're one of them. Strangely enough. Oh boy, Detroit. This makes a lot of sense. It must be in the water.
No, that's Flint.
Big word. Did you learn that from Big Bird? Wow. Like, I don't even know what to say here. I'm going to go back to this because this isn't even, like, at this point, it's not even difficult. I'll just let this guy do it for me. He'll talk himself into looking stupid. All right. The French plongeur launched in 1863, which used compressed air at 180 psi or 1200 kPa. Narcisse Montreal designed the first air-independent and combustion-powered submarine. 1002, which launched in Barcelona, Spain in 1864. All right, let's check this one. Oh, here we go. It's starting to look like a regular submarine now. Look at that. Ictenio, is that it? Icentio? It's up here. You can look at it up there. Ictenio? Ictenio 2 was a pioneering submarine. See, again, this is one of these things where it might be a bit of a nitpick or whatever. But this says Ictenio 2 was a pioneering submarine. Look at, there's no period. It just jumps to a capital it's. Right? Like, when I think about this and I think, like, this is sort of the official shit. This is the stuff, can't be edited here. I'll show you guys. Look, this is what happens when I edit. Okay, so I'm going to click on edit. Edit without logging in. I'm just going to click on anything. I'm going to click backwards, whatever. Okay, just like that. So it makes a change that would show up. Okay. Click publish. Oh, error. Edit now. I'm just going to read from it now. This IP address range has been globally blocked. This does not affect your ability to read Wikipedia pages. Most people who see this message have done nothing wrong. Some kind of blocks restrict editing, blah, 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 blah. This block will expire on 1639, January 15th, 2026. Is it still bound to NP? Yep. Right? So the fact is, you can't edit these pages. If I could edit these pages, I mean, I wouldn't. I don't need to go make fake pages or find fake information. I don't need to watch Alex Jones. I don't need to, listen to doofus Todd Church or anything like that. I just need to read what they want me to read. And if you read these little things, if you see how this works and you pay attention, you can see a lot more than just having to be told how to think. Icteno-2 was a pioneering submarine, period should be there. Its launching took place in the port of Barcelona on October 2nd, 1864 by the Spanish engineer Narcís Monturiol, and was the first air-independent and combustion-powered submarine. Here we go, copy and paste. And the first submarine to overcome the basic problems of machine-powered underwater navigation. The Icteno-2 was originally intended as an improved version of the ham-powered Icteno-1. The Spanish Navy pledged support. It's funny how Icteno-1 didn't come up in the submarine history. The Spanish Navy pledged support to Montreal. What is this? Montreal. That's right? Montreal.
Monturial.
Okay. Montreal, but did not actually supply it. So he had to raise the funds himself, writing a letter to the nation to encourage a popular subscription, which raised 300,000 pesetas from citizens of Spain and was used to form the corporation La Navigación Submarina to develop the Icteno-2. So this is another one of these themes that you see throughout these old world narratives, right? That to cover for the fact that there's no government record of any of this shit, they say that the government didn't do it, and that somehow this person in 1860 wrote a letter to the nation. How do you suppose he wrote a letter to the nation in 1869, was it? 1864, something like that? How do you do that? We don't bother to question these narratives because we just sort of accept things. But how in donkey times, how was this person sending a letter to everyone in France? And this guy goes, hey, you know what? I'm going to build a submarine, you guys. I'm going to build a submarine for the government, for the military to protect us. But the military doesn't want to pay for it. So I need you guys to send me money. And everybody's like, cool, where do we send them? You got PayPal? Do we send it to your PayPal? What is it? Like, this is how this story goes. There's so often the people funded the foundation of a company that changed the world because the government wouldn't do it. The Icteno-2 made her maiden voyage under human power on May 2nd, 1865, submerging to 90 feet. After reading about the American Civil War and the attempts at submarine construction such as the CSS Hunley, the financially desperate Monturiol wrote to the U.S. Secretary of the Navy. However, the Civil War had ended by the time the Secretary responded. So, again, some guy in France writes to the U.S. Secretary of the Navy, and then it's not that, it takes, it takes a while for him to respond. He responds. Are we to believe that the most important people in the world took the time to respond to every letter that was sent to them back in these times? I mean, are you foolish enough to believe this? It's funny how the stupid people just say the dumbest shit, like, have you ever dove or used a diving boat? Sounds like you are now contradicting yourself. All this effort to say nothing. Have a good day. Pull away from this delusion, right? Strange. There's somebody that comes in. He starts trying to shoot really, like, like trying to shoot holes in what I'm doing, but obviously fails. Once he realizes he's failing, he then encourages everybody else not to pay attention. Guys, don't listen to this guy. This guy, he's reading Wikipedia to you. Don't listen to him. He's crazy. Like, do you not see, like, does that sound like what regular people would do? You, the regular people that are watching. Do you do this? Do you jump on feeds just to talk shit, make yourself look stupid, and then run away like a clown? I guess it's not something I would do, so I don't understand it. If you would, then let me know. Dissatisfied with the limitations placed on him by human propulsion, Montreal realized that the only option was steam power, but contemporary steam engines required a fire, which was not an option for a submarine. To this end, he invented an air-independent engine which ran on a chemical reaction fueled by peroxide that provided its own oxygen for combustion. Air-independent propulsion, AIP, or air-independent power, is any marine power technology that allows a non-nuclear submarine to operate without access to atmospheric oxygen by surfacing or using a snorkel. AIP can augment or replace the diesel-electric propulsion system of non-nuclear vessels. Modern non-nuclear submarines are potentially stealthier than nuclear submarines. Although some modern submarine reactors are designed to rely on natural circulation, most naval nuclear reactors use pumps to constantly circulate the reactor coolant, generating some amount of detectable noise. Non-nuclear submarines running on battery power, or AIP, on the other hand, can be virtually silent. While nuclear-powered designs still dominate in submergence times, speed, range, and deep ocean performance, small, high-tech, non-nuclear attack submarines can be highly effective in coastal operations and pose a significant threat to less stealthy and less maneuverable nuclear submarines. So, this is nothing about air. Like, you see how we're getting a bunch of details, but they're nothing? Like saying that air power engines are quieter than nuclear subs, that could be done in a sentence or two. Yeah, nuclear engines make they make noise. These don't. But they're filling your head with nonsense, repetitive details. So when you leave, you have a bunch of details. AIP is usually implemented as an auxiliary source, with the traditional diesel engine handling surface propulsion. Most such systems generate electricity, which in turn drives an electric motor for propulsion or recharges the boat's batteries. The submarine electrical system is also used for providing hotel services, ventilation, lighting, heating, etc., although this consumes a small amount of power compared to that required for propulsion. AIP can be retrofitted into existing submarine hulls by inserting an additional hull section. AIP does not typically provide the endurance or power to replace atmospheric-dependent propulsion, but allows for longer underwater endurance than a conventionally propelled submarine. A typical conventional power plant provides 3 megawatts maximum, and an AIP source around 10% of that. A nuclear submarine propulsion plant is usually much greater than 20 megawatts. 20 megawatts! The United States Navy uses the Hull Classification System, SSP, super short print, to designate boats powered by AIP, while retaining SSK for classic diesel-electric attack submarines. Right. Because DE wouldn't work and AIP wouldn't work. You got to use SSP and SSK. What? How does that even make sense? SSP is designated for boats powered by AIP, while SSK is for diesel electric? What? That sounds like some idiot shit. All right, history. So now we're jumping right back to the Octenio. In the development of the submarine, the problem of finding satisfactory forms of propulsion underwater has been persistent. The earliest submarines were man-powered with hand-cranked propellers, and they all failed but the one in 1620, which quickly used up the air inside. Exactly. I mean, again, this is one of these arguments I keep asking. Sure. These vessels had to move for much of the time on the surface with hatches open, or use some form of breathing tube, both inherently dangerous and resulting in a number of early accidents. I mean, literally, isn't that what I said? How did the snorkels stick out of the water and the waves don't come up in the snorkels? Like, that was the argument. Later, mechanically driven vessels used compressed air or steam or electricity, which had to be recharged from shore or from an onboard aerobic engine. What is an aerobic engine? AEROBIC. What is an aerobic engine? Have you ever heard of that? The earliest attempt at a fuel that would burn anaerobically? That's anaerobically, right?
Yeah.
Anaerobically was in 1867 when Spanish engineer Narcisco Monturiol. So now his name is Narciso. I thought it was something else. Successfully developed a chemically powered anaerobic or air-independent steam engine. How? The engine was powered by a mixture of potassium chlorate and zinc, which reacted to generate heat and, conventionally, oxygen. So are you telling me that mixing potassium chlorate and zinc in a vacuumed room means you could just you could breathe for it? Like if you were in a hermetically sealed room and the oxygen started to run out, you could then mix potassium chlorate and zinc together, and that reaction would not only create heat but would create breathable oxygen? I never heard that in any of my science classes. Don't you think the formula to be able to make breathable oxygen would have been something we talked about? I mean, I fucking dissected a goddamn baby pig, and I never heard of the formula to create oxygen. In 1908, we're just going to jump there. We went from 1867 to 1908. Gotcha. In 1908, the Imperial Russian Navy launched the submarine Poktovy, which used a gasoline engine fed with compressed air and exhausted underwater. These two approaches, the use of fuel that provides energy to an open cycle system and the provision of oxygen to an aerobic engine in a closed cycle, characterized AIP today. That's it. That's the history of it. How come I can't find anything like that? How come I can't find any more than this? Air independent propulsion, non-nuclear, can take various forms. All currently active AIP submarines require oxygen for AIP, which is liquid as a liquid. AIP submarine range is primarily limited by the amount of LOX it can carry. That's the liquid oxygen. So I thought it created oxygen. During World War II, the German firm Walter experimented with submarines, and more of these Germans again. Amazing how these Germans are constantly doing this. I've been on board a British nuclear. So amazing how we always get these people that come in and say this. I've watched massive British Vanguard nuclear subs arrive in port with refills and repairs. Damn impressive special effects. You've seen boats. See, this is the part that you don't want to recognize, right? Yes, you've gone onto the boat. It was in the harbor. You went in on it. You saw the boat come into the harbor. The top of the boat sticking out, as it always is. You've never been on a submarine that's going all dolphin-like through the water and getting in dog fights underwater and hunt for Red October and shit. You've never been in that situation. You never will be. That's the point I'm making. The thing is, too, you guys haven't bothered to watch the previous two videos. I believe it was it yesterday's video? Might have been part one, where I just said, fuck it, let me try to do this. I'm going to look up submarines in action. I went to YouTube, and I Googled and I looked up submarines in action. And the video that the first video recommended was like the U.S. military, U.S. Navy, this sub, like this is the official military sort of channel, blah, blah, blah. And the video showed nothing but boats. The only time that supposedly the thing was underwater was they showed footage of supposedly all the people in the control room, and then they showed these Atari 2600 graphics showing the submarine rising up while there was a layer of ice above it. And it's so cartoony and stupid. And it showed how the submarine supposedly broke through the ice. And yet when the submarine, like, which in itself, to think that you're going to take the top of your tin can with the pressurized air inside and all these other, and you're going to smack it into the ice, and it's going to break through the fucking ice, and none of the shards are going to go through the sides or anything. You've made this thing so indestructible it can go through ice, I guess, like that. Like, that's just unbelievable. And of course, somehow there was a cameraman on the outside of the sub, on the wall, on the top of the ice, standing far back to watch the sub come up. I mean, I guess I gotta just bring it up because it's too goofy to just explain it, right? Let's see here. Oh no. Okay. Where the hell are they? Where is the submarine? Don't touch me. Don't you touch me. I have been violated. Oh, U.S. Navy submarine in action. Here we go. Okay, so this is my favorite part. What? It's actually queued up. Okay, so...
70 feet.
Okay. Okay, so he just said 70 feet, so they were 70 feet. Now, look. They're about to crash through. Look when it happens when they hit the ice. Look at their reaction. Impact. They didn't even jar a little bit. Smashing through the ice. Now, here's the footage. That's... I wish you could... There you go. Look at how... That's the impressive footage they have. Now, here. Notice how you don't actually see before the thing comes through. It's already coming through as they do it. But it's supposed to have broken through, looks like 4 or 5 feet thick ice. Like, this is just stupid. If you believe this, I don't know what to tell you. This is just so funny. Look.
17 up velocity. Everybody, 400, limiting 300.
Boom! Do you understand how big that would be? Boom! They don't even move a little bit. Watch them. Not even a little bit. You ever been on a boat You ever been on a boat even a little bit and like just the slowest waves? Like try to stand, try to do anything on a boat. By the way, this is the U.S. Navy submarine in action, brought to you by Eagle Eye Military Channel. There's all sorts of pictures of pretty boats going across the water in this video. Oh, I don't know. You guys probably can't even see what I'm showing you, can you? Because for some reason, my shit doesn't work today, which makes all the sense. Why would it work? Why would my shit work? Here you go. This is what you always see. You see boats. They're just boats. Every single one. If you don't think they have the capability of making a camera that could go on the front of it while it dove and swam around, you're stupid. I don't know what to tell you. You're stupid. No matter what we say, he will only believe his own narrative. He's already made up his mind and decided to hop online and show everyone how dumb he is. Yep, that's what it is. What I was like is like, hey, you know what? I have absolutely no reason to think this way. What I'm going to do is go live and show you guys by reading Wikipedia and showing you videos and actually showing proof. Proof that my argument is valid. Proof that what you believe might not actually be there. And I'm doing the thing that none of you seem to be able to do, which is actually just address what's being said. This Isaiah clown, like, you should go back and watch this guy's arguments when it comes to religion and shit. It's like, it's hilariously embarrassing. If I was a religious person, I would be so embarrassed every time this guy starts talking about it. But this is what you'll see this over and over again, where you get this arrogance of these idiots who act like this guy knows because he looked into submarines just yesterday. He did an in-depth report on submarines just yesterday. His uncle works on submarines. He used to go on submarines to school every day because they lived out in a place that was an island and he had to take a submarine to school. Like, that's the shit that ends up coming out. And these idiots act like I'm not reading to you what this is. What's going on here? But they don't want to, they just don't want to talk about it. Let's see. Yep, we got more nonsense. All right. During World War II, German Walter experimented submarines using used high test concentrated hydrogen peroxide as their source of oxygen underwater. High test hydrogen peroxide. High test peroxide is a high concentrated 85 to 98% solution of hydrogen peroxide, with the remainder consisting predominantly of water. In contact with a catalyst, it decomposes into a high temperature mixture of steam and oxygen with no remaining liquid water. It was used as a propellant of HTP rockets and torpedoes and has been used for high performance Vernier engines. Gee, that's weird. You would think, by the way, it also makes oxygen, so it was used on submarines, or is used on submarines. I mean, nowadays, like they say, they just have compressed gas, compressed air in tanks, I guess. But this is saying this is like it's used for rockets, torpedoes, high performance engines, and shit like that. That's sort of the opposite of providing breathable air. I mean, I know oxygen is the like the main catalyst of fire, but when used with a suitable catalyst, HTP can be used as a monopropellant or with a separate fuel as a bipropellant. HTP has been used safely and successfully in many applications, beginning with the German usage during World War II, and continues to be present and continues to the present day. During World War II, high test peroxide was used as an oxidizer in some German rocket designs, such as the Walter HWK rocket engine that powered the Messerschmitt ME-163 Point Defense Interceptor fighter late in World War II. See all these details that are dumb? Like, you need to know which rockets were powered by this shit, or is that what I was looking for? Comprising 80% of the standardized mixture T-Stolf, and also in the German type XVII submarine. Some significant United States programs included the reaction control thruster. So again, this is all about thrusters, torpedoes. Continuing research ending with the Black Arrow launch vehicles, Blue Steel missiles. Like, this is all about blue flame powered rockets, propellant grade hydrogen peroxide. That's all this is. That's all this is about. It says nothing about using it to create air. These use steam. Okay, so we're back to the Walter, whatever. High test concentrated hydrogen peroxide as their source of oxygen underwater. These use steam turbines employing steam heated by burning diesel fuel in the steam oxygen atmosphere created by the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide by a potassium permanganate catalyst. What the hell is this? Potassium permanganate is an organic compound with a chemical formula. Who cares? It is a purplish black crystalline salt which dissolves in water as A and M ions to give an intensely pink and purple solution. Potassium is widely used in the chemical industry and laboratories as a strong oxidizing agent and also as a medication for dermatitis, for cleaning wounds, and general disinfection. It is on the World Health Organization list of essential medicines. 1659, Johanna Rudolph Gruber, gotta have another Rudolph in there, fused a mixture of the mineral pyrrolosite, manganese dioxide, and potassium carbonate to obtain a material that, when dissolved in water, gave a green solution, potassium manganate, which slowly shifted to violet and then finally red. So it's always interesting to me when they're talking about how in 1659 guys were mixing together chemicals. And I'm like, oh, all right, so what sort of laboratories were they working in back then? What laboratories did they have? Scientific laboratories, and with beakers and Bunsen burner. I mean, had Bunsen invented the burner yet? So were there even Bunsen burners back then? Like, where did this guy get his supply of the mineral pyrrolus? They didn't have gloves, and they didn't have breathing apparatuses, and they didn't have goggles, and they didn't have all this shit. How did all these guys even survive? Mixing all these, like, this couldn't have been his first choice. I mean, what were all the chemicals that he was mixing together before he figured out that it was these two that worked together? And again, he's what, in his laboratory working by sunlight? I mean, it's doesn't go with the history that we're told. We're told that we were just these everything's next to peasants, even royalty. I mean, royalty, other than being able to build crazy shit, As far as we think, they didn't do much. They sat around on horses and shit. And they did war. When I think about history, I think about war. Stupid love stories and war. That's basically it. But so that I just don't. Oh wait, we're trying to figure out how the reaction that produced the color changes that Gluber observed in a solution of potassium permanganate and potassium manganate K2MnO4 is now known as the chemical chameleon. This report represents the first description of the production of potassium permanganate. Just under 200 years later, London chemist Henry Bowman Condy had an interest in disinfectants and found that fusing pyrolusite and sodium hydroxide and dissolving it in water produced a solution with disinfectant properties. Again, just think about this. Think about what we're saying. This guy just did this shit, huh? Connie's powder. Early photographers used it as a component of flash powder. It is now replaced by other oxidizers due to the instability of permanganate mixtures. So, this potassium permanganate is the catalyst for hydrogen peroxide creating breathable oxygen. He's trying to prove something that he can't. Yep, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to prove that it's true. I'm just reading you history. Sorry if you... It's funny how you don't... Like, you shoot the messenger again. You blame me for history being really stupid. It's my fault. It's not history's fault. It's not your fault for actually, like, sort of seeing it and being like, holy shit, this makes sense. Or this doesn't make sense. You know, like it's not that. It's just, again, I always find it so crazy that what I'm doing makes random strangers mad. Why would this make anyone mad? It's so weird. It has bothered that you're gonna come on and be like, hey, I'm a dick. Look at me, I'm a dick. And then run away like a coward eventually. It's just strange. I've seen a submarine dive in person, in real life, right here in reality. Are you going to sit here and tell me I haven't? Submarines are, yeah. I'm going to believe you because you don't lie. I am not mad. Yep, you're not mad. I know. I can't believe she said that. I am going to beat that bitch's ass. I thought you said you were going to get mad. I'm not mad. Every single time. Though the work did not mature into any viable combat vessels. Oh, well, okay, let's not talk about this then. One drawback, the instability and scarcity of the fuel involved. Another was that while the system produced high underwater speeds, it was extravagant with fuel. It was extravagant with fuel. The first boat, V8, required 28 tons of fuel to travel 50 nautical miles. And the final designs were a little better. 28 tons of fuel? I mean, that's what? 56,000 pounds? That's right? 56,000 pounds. That don't make no sense. Where are you going to put 56,000 pounds of fuel on your vessel that's not that big? Bro, just shut up about submarines. Right, because it bothers you that I'm talking about them because What? What has your panties all up in your crack? I have been on one that dove 100 feet. Man, that's amazing. Again, we have yet another random troll person that's claiming to have been on one. Like, of all the... I talk about shit all the time, from Jesus to vaccines to the Jews and Israel and all this crazy shit. And these guys are never here to actually, like, address anything. Yet, when it comes to submarines, every single day I'm getting all of these people who just happen to be there. Yep. These people with these profiles, no picture, no, just these random profiles. I guarantee they have no history, nothing like that. But they, oh, yep, we were on one that dove 100 feet. Yeah, well then, this should be no problem for you. You should be confident knowing that I'm going to look into this and I'm going to prove myself wrong, and it's only a matter of time, right? You know it's true, so what are you worried about? Why would it bother you that I don't think that way? See, it's this kind of stupidity that these Jews don't really realize that they keep getting caught doing. You know, their whole thing is always telling us goy we're not supposed to talk about things. We're not supposed to talk about the fucking genocide going on. They're not going to deny that there's genocide. We're not supposed to talk about it. And in this situation, again, you would think this shouldn't be a big deal. Why would anybody be bothered by this? You would have to know confidently, by the end of this video, I'm going to end up with egg all over my face. I'm going to look stupid. It's going to be really obvious. And that'll be that. You could sit back and laugh. You should actually be encouraging it, because you're so not mad, but you're so interested in my failure, I guess, or whatever it is. Yeah, that's just funny that you're wasting your WAISTING. I'm wasting WAISTING your time. He literally used both examples of your and got one of them wrong and said wasting. That I'm wasting my time. It's funny to him, and he's mad and thinks I should shut up. Okay, so it's funny, but he thinks I should shut up because I'm wasting my time. He thinks I should be doing something else with my time while he's watching me do it. Boy, you are super smart there, Dino Nuggets. Man, you know what? If I stop reading and stop learning and maybe, I don't know, smash my head against the wall a few times, maybe I could be as smart as you, huh? And I won't be WAISTING my time anymore. I'm wasting my time. Oh, that's hilarious. Seriously, you guys got to do better, man. You got to do better. You can't keep making me look good while you're trying to make me look bad. This is just, you make everything too easy. It's fucking crazy. I can't believe how crazy and easy this is and silly you guys always end up looking. It's so strange that you're wasting WAISTING your time. Oh man, I'm gonna remember that one. Thank you. After the war. Okay, I'm gonna pull it together. Just give me a second. After the war, After the war, one capital TYPE XV, so 17. After the war, one Type 17 boat, U-1407, which had been scuttled at the end of World War II, was salvaged and recommissioned into the Royal Navy as the HMS Meteorite. The British built two improved models in the late 1950s, the HMS Explorer and the HMS Excalibur. Meteorite was not popular with its crews, who regarded it as dangerous and volatile. She was officially described as 75% safe. The reputations of Excalibur and Explorer were a little better. The boats were nicknamed Excruciator and Exploder. Again, why would these details be in the thing and not better details? Like how things were made, how they came up with things, what was what? Not these goofy rumors and nicknames and shit that they were nicknamed. Who gives a fuck? The Soviet Union also experimented with the technology, and one experimental boat was built which utilized hydrogen peroxide in a Walter engine. So it seems almost like they're saying that this is what it was, but then when you sort of look into it more, well, it was more like this was an idea, and there was a couple of failure versions of this or something. I'm not. It's really strange how it just sort of. It's just more and more loops. We just keep going in circles. The United States also received a Type 17 U-boat, or Type 17 boat, U-1406. So that means there were at least 1,400 of these things, right? And went on to begin two AIP submarine projects. The SCB-66 developed an experimental midget submarine, X-1, which was launched in September 55. It was originally powered by a hydrogen peroxide diesel engine and battery system until an explosion of her hydrogen peroxide supply on May 20th, 1957. X1 was later converted to a diesel electric. So again, another example of this not actually working. This is the narrative that you have to believe. You believe the earth is round. You believe Trump won. You believe whatever you need to believe. This is part of that. It was originally to explode. X1 was later converted to a diesel electric. The second U.S. Navy project was a full-sized AIP submarine under SCB-67 in 1950. Later, SCB-67A. Now, think about this. This is 1950, right? Think about the cars from 1950. Think about like the stove from 1950 and the refrigerator, the icebox from 1950, the television from 1950. You want me to believe that in 1950, the people that made that shit were capable of making things that could swim underwater like a fucking dolphin? I mean, just think about it. How come I'm wrong, but the only people that can come in here and tell me I'm wrong say stupid shit? Why isn't everybody just coming out and being like, yeah, dude, that makes total sense. 1950s cars, that was like the pinnacle of technology. Of course we could make underwater fucking vessels in 1950. Why wouldn't we be able to? Yes, okay, I hear that you're reading that every single example of this engine or this oxygen source that they say they used failed miserably, but I still believe it because, and then let's keep going. Like, why can't it be you guys doing what I'm doing? I'm not going to the conspiracy page and then trying to hit you over the head with the conspiracy. I'm going to the official page and taking it on and trying to make it make sense and see if it makes sense, see if it all lines up. And I'm successfully making it fall apart, making it seem really weird and stupid. Why don't you guys do the same thing to me? Just Listen to what I'm saying and then pick apart the things that I say. Okay, so here we go. Here's another brilliant comment from a random profile. Why does this dude keep popping up in my feed? And does he not really understand the military is always decades ahead of the consumer technology? Oh, the military had better tech than you can buy at Walmart, so it must not be real. Bye. There you go. So you have some dumb white guy who has to come on here, cry a little bit because I'm talking about something he's never bothered to look into even a little bit. And instead of I guess blocking this feed like he should have done a long time ago, he's just gonna get mad, say his piece, and then run away. Because I'm wrong. Again, me talking about something makes people angry. Oh, I'm so mad. Isn't it weird? You'd think like somebody with any sort of real confidence, not this fake, macho tough guy kind of bullshit, but some real confidence because they actually know some shit, would come in here and start talking about it. But like I say, it doesn't matter. It could be Jesus, it can be Trump, it can be the Jews, it can be whatever it is, and I'll never get that. The Jakes are the only thing that come through, and I find it fascinating. I don't know about you guys. I mean, maybe that's part of the fascinating thing for all of you watching that come back day after day after day, yet don't support. How are you going to watch me day after day and not throw the like on, not share the feed? Are you worried that the people that you associate with are going to judge you because you watch something that they don't approve of? That sounds like some really good friends there, huh? Anyway, the second project, the submarine designated SSX, the sex, would have one of 3 propulsion plants under development. A Walther open-cycle hydrogen peroxide plant, termed Elton, a liquid oxygen steam plant, Ellis, and an AIP gas turbine, Wolverine. By late 1951, the Navy realized that while the competing nuclear designs were heavier due to shielding, they were more compact than the 3 AIP plants. The SSX would be longer than the SSN by nearly 40 feet. The SSN would likely be quieter and less complicated than the AIP technology of this time. By 1952, the nuclear reactors were so far along in development, it appeared that the SSX submarine would not be needed as a stopgap. The project was canceled on October 26, 1953. So, yet again, the supposed proof of submarines and what they used in their mechanics and whatnot, well, this one got canceled. Instead of it failing like all the rest of those, this one failed. And we just went from failure after failure after failure after failure with this one technology to, in 1952 and previous, to suddenly in 1952, we have nuclear reactors down pat to the point where we can put them in a submarine. Again, think about the cars. Think about the technology that we were allowed to have. I mean, everybody does know the military is by far, far ahead of us, what they let us know, but think about that. They just got nuclear reactors figured out, huh? The USSR and UK, the only other countries known to be experimenting with the technology at the time, also abandoned it when the US developed a nuclear reactor small enough for the US for submarine propulsion. Other nations, including Germany and Sweden, would later recommence AIP development. So everybody that was working on it, well, they stopped. It was retained for propelling torpedoes by the British and Soviet Union, although hastily abandoned by the former following the HMS Sidon tragedy. Both this and the loss of the Russian submarine Kursk were due to accidents involving hydrogen peroxide propelled torpedoes. So that's the air independent system. That's the engine that was used on this first submarine. Oh, here we go. Isaiah's going to come back with some more of the proof I'm talking about. So instead of addressing anything said, I must be bullied, because I'm still in high school, even though I'm an old man, clearly. I must be bullied, which is why I go live and read about stuff. And literally ask jackasses like this to tell me what I'm wrong about, but he can't. I'm leaving because of how stupid this is, and that hair. So if my hairline was better, if I was younger and whiter, had shorter hair, cleaner face. Like, how do you like your dudes to look there, Dino Nuggets? Do you prefer your dudes to be big and muscular too? Is that what you like? Because I'm not that either. I'm sorry. I know you like big muscular dudes with short hair, I guess. Lots of empty space up on that big head. Oh, ow. Ow. Literally pointing out how stupid this guy is and that he can't fucking address anything I say and that he desperately tries to hurt my feelings because he knows how stupid he is. Does he address anything I say, or does he again try to hurt my feelings because I care about what the random stupid profile on YouTube has to say? Man, thank you for proving me wrong yet again. All right, so we're being told that that Montreal was dissatisfied with the limitations placed on him by the propulsion. So he just invented an air-independent engine which ran on the chemical reaction fueled by peroxide that provided its own oxygen for combustion, which we know didn't work. Wait, I thought this guy was leaving. You sure? You are sure talking about and analyzing it pretty deeply. I mean, I'm reading. And of course I'm analyzing what comes my way. Do you not? Do you just do you just walk through life like that? Sorry, it's fascinating to me that the Isaiahs, if Isaiah was just a real person, it wasn't an Israeli bot, it was a real person. If this person really does come to my feed every day to sit here for hours and do this weird, like, goofy talking shit that he does that only ends up proving me right, like, if that's real, that's just fascinating to me. I can't imagine being like that, right? Like, that's just wild. And I'm pretty sure that's not what you were talking about, but I'm just saying, what a the whole troll perspective is just a crazy one, because I feel like I'm giving you guys layups, right? You guys should be able, no, you guys should be able, I'm sitting here going against the narrative as we're told it exists, right? We're told that this is the way that things are, and you guys all believe as you're supposed to believe, like good little sheep, and I'm the one that goes against it. And so you'd think with me being such an easy target, making myself such an easy target, lock the door! You'd think you guys would have, you'd have at it. You'd have, like, it's target practice, easy target practice, and you'd think you'd just light me up. But instead, it's the same stupid shit it always is, and that to me is fascinating. So, You sure care. You sure care incredibly deeply. You were showing it so goddamn deeply. I mean, is that what you need to tell yourself? Is that what you want to tell yourself? I'm literally begging you guys to stop focusing in on shit that doesn't affect me and just focus in on the conversation at hand. Like, I don't understand. You believe submarines exist, so you should be able to just crush every argument I make. Instead, you want to keep trying to make it weird personal shit, and I don't care enough. Do you think I care? Like, I don't, it's, as far as I know, you're a bot, but if you're not, you're probably some weird fat white guy with a beard and bald head, and, you know, anybody miserable enough to troll isn't somebody I'm like worried about or jealous of. And really, you know, you, it fascinates me how adults can have such thin skin to begin with. Like, you can't hurt my feelings. I keep trying to tell people that. You could say whatever you want. It's not going to hurt my feelings. You don't have that power over me. Why would you? At the very least, I don't even get to see who's saying it. I don't even know who's saying it. So I can't even say, well, this guy clearly has a lot more money and he's clearly better looking and he clearly this and he like, I can't even do that. I just have to trust that the guy with nothing else going on in his world, so he comes to my feed to troll because me talking about submarines really bothers him, or the usual conversation, which is that we should cut off Israel and kill pedophiles. So the fact that you guys keep coming back, like, that's the main thing. You know, this is just a sidetrack little thing that I've been talking about lately, but the main point is that we should cut Israel off, you know, call out these Jews for who they are, and use that money, that $3.8 billion a year that turns into 15 billion shekels every year. We should use that to form pedophile hunter programs and eliminate pedophilia as quickly as possible. Now, anybody that's opposed to that, I'd love to hear your arguments, but you don't, you know, like, you guys never have anything to say about that stuff. But here, let me talk about submarines, and you guys get really, really mad. When I'm presented with ignorance and bullying, I generally go, you do. I generally go, do, and walk away because I'm not delusional and super scared of what people say about me. If you're doing a live feed and people keep talking shit, you go, do, and walk away. I'm sorry, you're not confident enough to call out what's happening. Like, if it bothers you so much that you walk away from it, good for you. That's what you should do. You shouldn't engage in that kind of shit. But we're not talking about real life, are we? We're talking about a live feed where I have to read the comments. So I'm reading the comments as they come, or at least as I get to them. I don't get to screen the comments before I read them. So I'm reading them and responding to what I'm getting, while you, especially being somebody that I continuously keep saying, why don't you focus in on what's being said, and yet you refuse to. Really strange how delusional. You sure can, and then you keep telling yourself much that, like, you have to tell yourself that you're affecting me. Clearly I'm affecting you, and you want me to be affected by what you're saying. You just can't be. You know, you're just bothered. So you're telling yourself, "Oh, I'm affecting him. Oh yeah, look how much he cares because he's responding to what I'm saying. He must care. I must be hurting him because he's responding. Because if it was me, I would just go do and walk away." What a dumbass. And you don't care about it. Come, I continually talk. Yep, that's what it is. Play submarines are very real, are very basic thing. You can make yourself a diving bell, can even basic principle of compressed air with a weak medium in a submarine. Man, please, by all means, you make a submarine, film it, you know, go live, you build yourself, film yourself building a submarine because it's easy to do. We can do it ourselves, like you just said. Film yourself doing that, go live while you do it, and then, you know, do some sort of launch where you take this submarine out, you show us this magic diving bell you build, and I will do everything I can to promote you. I will make it that's all I talk about until you get this thing done, which is easy. It should only take you what, a few weeks. You knock out this project that's easy to do, you could do it yourself, and we'll make a big deal out of you, okay? Your title says submarines aren't real. They're not. I don't agree. You are 100% getting lit up. Man, I sure feel it. I'm watching you lose your mind over internet comments, dude. Nobody has to tell themselves anything. Yep, absolutely losing my mind. I can barely contain myself. Look at how upset. Look at I can barely keep my hand steady. Idle feelings are about as woke as potatoes. Saying woke is stupid. Why do you think the term for being awake, being aware, has been dumbed down into something stupid like woke? Why do people say woke? Is it easier than saying awake? It's like it's amazing how we've been duped on so many levels and we just don't even realize it. I know what's his issue. I know submarines exist. I've gone diving. I've been in a basic submarine and used diving bells. Man, this guy has done everything. He's used diving bells now, been in a basic submarine. Yep, gotcha. You are legit like a child that has never seen a cow trying to convince his friend that cows aren't real. Yeah, because I know, I know if you were a child trying to convince your friends that cows aren't real, you would go online and look for footage of it, show the footage of the cows, and then go to the Wikipedia page and read all about those cows. That's what you would do. And I know that that would make random strangers so mad they would come in and waste hours trying to point out how bad they're hurting your feelings. Yep, you got me in a bind there, dude. And here you are shouting about this and going back over. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is ridiculous. See, the problem is if I don't answer comments, then people point out that I'm not answering comments. And it's like, well, I try to show people. I answer the comments because they're just such a fantastic example of what I keep saying. This guy is so desperate to find something. He's trying to say he's hurting my feelings and it must be this and it must be like if this guy could find something wrong with what I'm saying, he would. But instead of trying to find something wrong, he's trying to make it some personal pissing contest, weird bullshit that and it is my fault for addressing it, but I love to address it because I try to point out to people like who is going to do this? Really? Somebody do you really think there are real people out there that are going to get this mad about me talking about submarines that they're going to go to these great lengths to try to stop the conversation from happening? As I keep saying, if I'm wrong, then you should have no problem with me showing that I'm wrong. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to figure out what I'm wrong about, and then that'll be that. I can't imagine why it would bother you in the first place. I sure wish you'd be here when we talk about Israel and the Jews and all that stuff, but I guess you got nothing to say for those days. But today you are just so affecting me so badly because you don't want me to continue to look up the official narrative about submarines. Yep, go ahead, bud.
Oh, and also, I walked over and I found Eek sitting in the car.
She is the cutest.
I tried.
Alright, I'm not even reading this nonsense. I'm pretty sure this is the Harris guy from a week ago. Yep, I'm a Harris guy. I don't vote for anybody. Remember? I know who you are, monkey butt. Yeah, you're one of the people that insists that because you support Trump, I have to support Harris. Right? Do you see how that, like, it's stupid. And I call it a Jewish puppet game the whole time. So you got to keep telling yourself, I'm a Harris guy, do it. Isn't it obvious he voted for Kamala? Says Isaiah Peterson, who just Like, this is the definition of the dumb Christian to the fullest. So I appreciate everything he says too. Man, I'm not even reading all this stuff. All right. William Bourne submarine prototype is considered to be the first. Dates back to 1578. It's not true. It's just not true. I'm literally reading to you the history of submarines, but I bet you know it. The French built the first combat submarine. It wasn't successful. In 1800, after his iron design, it wasn't successful. You're just wrong again. But it's okay. You can be wrong. It's okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, Montreal developed a submarine for commercial use in the exploitation of coral reefs. Later, he installed a gun inside the submarine's hull and performed a number of trials involving underwater shots on predetermined targets. From December 22nd to December 30th, 1865. But this failed to impress the military authorities. Of course, why wouldn't they care? This is literally the same story it always is. The guy comes up with this invention that, by all accounts, you'd think, you know, like we're talking about, fuck is his name? 1620. My God, I can't remember his name. Doppler, drop. What the fuck is his name? Whatever. But I mean, it's just crazy to think about, you know, these narratives and how they counteract each other and how like this is I'm reading about the engine that's supposed to, oh yeah, the idea of that they present this technology and you know Kepler, what the fuck is his name? Why can't I think of his name? The first king was James the First, and they floated down the Thames like 1620. I just can't think of the name right now. But that's 1620. That's the first one. And they failed to impress, and then it disappeared. Like, watch, this is going to be, they failed to impress, he puts the gun on, but then later it comes back up. Montreal envisioned a new vessel, custom built to house his new engine, which would be entirely built of metal, with the engine housed in its own separate compartment. However, due to the state of his finances, construction of the new vessel was out of the question, and instead he managed to assemble enough funds to fit the engine into the Incentio 2. Remember, this is because he shows off he has this great submarine technology, but the government of the time can't see any use in it. So he has to get the people to do it. So he's got the people to he's got the people to fund him with 300,000 blah 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 blah. No one listened to you. Did you forget a letter? You forgot a letter. On October 22nd, 1867, the Incentio 2 made its first surface journey under steam power, averaging 3.5 knots, as always, with a top speed of 4.5 knots. 2 months later, on the 14th of December, and this is in France, right? So I guess December waters are good to be doing this in. 2 months later. See, the problem is I try to, like, I want to read decent comments, like actual real comments, not fucking dumb troll comments. So I get stuck, and that makes it difficult. But I'm going to do my best. 2 months later, on December 14th, Montreal submerged the vessel and ran his chemical engine, but with a quite slow speed, 2.5 knots. The submarine could dive up to 90 feet and could stay underwater for 7.5 hours. Gosh, that's amazing. This is in 1867. If you don't think there's something weird about that, like I just can't hold your hand through everything. Think about what you think the world was in 1867. You know, and this guy is building submarines that can go 90 feet below the surface and hang out for 7.5 hours. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. You're the troll, buddy, says Monkey. You are the troll. That isn't it amazing how all of these profiles have the same stupid? All of them are the same stupid over and over again. How are they all so stupid? Like it almost looks weird when the Ed profile gets it right because they get it wrong. How can they all be the same stupid if it's different people? Not one of these people is smart enough to get the you're right when they're trying to talk about how dumb I am. That is just like again, I feel like a detective, like do you see the clues? Obviously, they're not going to come out and be like, "Hey, we're government spy, government troll. We're all Israel, and we're trying to interfere because we're scared of the goyim being intelligent." Of course, they're not going to say something like that. But you have to look at the clues, and the clues are right there in front of you. Why would why would they all be the same stupid? Because it's all the same stupid fucking profiles, man. You'd think they'd fix it, but they don't. And it's a dead giveaway. You can always tell by the way they speak. They get the same things wrong. They'll screw up the same spellings, the same whatever. They always do it. And again, these are the things you have to pay attention to. They're not going to give you a sign. Hey, or here's your sign. You have to read through it. Just like with this history that you're given, you have to read through this shit. You have to understand that they're telling you they could build submarines that can go underwater for 7.5 hours at 90 feet deep. And when you look into the method that they say they used, this air propulsion system that was used that used peroxide and whatever. Every example of it failed. Every single example of it failed except this first one. This first one they figured it out. But then, after they figured it out the first time, they couldn't replicate it and it just kept failing because that's how technology works. Your is quicker to type. No, it's not. The phone gives you the option. As soon as you put in the YO, if you get to the U, it's going to give you the option that it's not quicker. You're just dumb. And if it was even quicker, it would be a half a second, like a half of a half of a half of a second. If you're that lazy, if you give up intelligence and appearance for laziness, it just like doubles up on how stupid you are. You won't read this, right? Because you're scaring me so much. See what I mean? This is what happens when I don't read the comments. So I get stuck in this fucking stupid loophole where these idiots fucking think that because I don't want to address their stupidity anymore, that somehow I'm scared. Let's get back to the actual shit that matters. Because you won't actually address anything that I'm saying. You tell me how it, see, this is where it's weird, right? Why don't you just address why it makes sense to you that in 1867 we were building submarines that could go 90 feet down and stay underwater for 7.5 hours? In December in France. On December 30th, La Navigation Submarina went bankrupt, having completely exhausted its funds. Montreal had spent 100,000 euros, which could have purchased 7 frigates or 160 kilograms of gold, and could attract no more investment. It just seems so strange. This guy is inventing submarines that work, and the military isn't, the government isn't into it. The creditor the chief creditor called in his debt, and Montreal was forced to surrender the Incentio II, which was his sole asset. The creditors subsequently sold it on to a businessman and the authorities who taxed all ships issued its new owner with a tax bill. Rather than pay, he dismantled the entire submarine and sold it for scrap. The ship's surface motor was removed to the textile factory, and viewports ended up as bathroom windows. Oh man, that's too bad. This super important historical submarine evidence all gone. It's all gone. Oh, this is fantastic. This is the 1860s. And even then, is it really a sub, or is it something where it's a boat where most of it's underwater but the top still sticks out? No, it went down 90 feet. That's what they said. Interesting. All right, so are we back to just regular submarines? I think we are, yeah. All right. So this is where they're saying that they what? Oh, okay. Well, we need the bag.
Oh, you want the bag?
I guess. I mean, I don't know what else you want to send it in. You can just send it in whatever. So the first that was the story of the 1863, the French Plongeur, which was the first air independent combustion powered submarine. Wait. Which use compressed air to the nursing. Oh, find the first. No, okay. So it's weird. In this one, it's NARCIS, and in the other one, it's NARCISO. It's weird how he had different names, huh? Hello, Serbia. How are you? It's a lot. Okay, so we're saying because of this submarine in Spain in 1864, which was dismantled because in 1864 a guy developed a submarine that could be completely independent.
Before they built bridges.
In 1864, God damn it!
20 years before.
In 1864, the guy built the submarine that could go 90 feet down and stay down there for 7.5 hours.
But they couldn't build a bridge.
Would you shut your nigger mouth?
They're taking train cars over mountains with mules, but they had submarines that could go 90 feet under the water.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
No.
I mean, this is also the time when they were building under, when they would build tunnels underneath the river Thames and whatever.
Of shit.
And they would dig the tunnels underneath for the crossings because.
No.
Yeah. So in 1864, that submarine used an engine that used a chemical engine, the air independent engine, which every other time it was used failed miserably. But that time, the first time it was used, it worked really well, and it was a chemical reaction that peroxide and this manganate shit, whatever. The combination of those two chemicals created breathable oxygen.
Yep.
And happened to also be a propulsion. So the energy created by combining them, the heat, could be used for propulsion, while the exhaust was then the breathable air. Which is why in 1864, they could travel down 90 feet and stay down there for 7.5 hours.
Yes, they could. But they still had to take railroad cars over mountains with mules.
And see, I'm literally reading you the history of things, and we have good old dumb Ed who can't fucking say anything. He's just talking nonsense. Why, if I'm wrong, does it bother you so much? Okay, so because of the Incentio 2, which failed to gain any sort of traction or any sort of interest and was eventually dismantled, the submarine became feasible as a potential weapon with the development of the Whitehead torpedo, designed in 1866 by British engineer Robert Whitehead, the first practical self-propelled or locomotive torpedo. The spar torpedo that had been developed earlier by the Confederate States Navy was considered to be impractical, as it was believed to have sunk both its intended target and H.L. Hunley, the submarine that deployed it. But that's not the story that they give on that, which is strange. Again, why is this like this? The Irish inventor John Philip Holland built a model submarine in 1876 and in 1878 demonstrated the Holland 1 prototype. This was followed by a number of unsuccessful designs. In 1896, he designed the Holland Type 6 submarine, which used internal combustion engine power on the surface and electric battery power underwater. How many of you know that in 1896 we had the capability to create electric batteries that could power submarine engines?
For how long? Just before they had to be plugged in. And when it got too cold down there, did they not take a charge?
I don't know.
I mean, didn't somebody fly a car through space? I mean, come on.
Launched on. Shut up. Just shut up. Launched on May 17th, 1897, at Navy Lieutenant Lewis Nixon's Crescent Shipyard in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Holland 6 was purchased by the United States Navy on April 11, 1900, becoming the Navy's first commissioned submarine, christened USS Holland. All right, let's check this out. USS Holland SS-1 was the U.S. Navy's first submarine, although not its first underwater watercraft, which was the 1775 submersible Turtle, which we know fucking failed. I mean, it's crazy, like the history of submarines is wrought with failure, and yet somehow it progressed. The boat was originally laid down Holland 6 at the Crescent Shipyard of Elizabeth, New Jersey, for John Philip Holland's Holland Torpedo Boat Company, and launched on May 17th, 1897. She was acquired by the USN, United States Navy, on April 11th, 1900, and commissioned on October 12th, 1900. Lieutenant H. Caldwell commanding. Holland was built. Oh, here we go. Get your glasses. Get your glasses. Oh my God.
So you're gonna put the oil tank right where the torpedoes launched from? That seems really smart.
And when they shoot, they go pew pew.
And then there's dynamite gun tubes next to the gasoline engine. I mean that
It's believable, isn't it?
it's
And I mean, this is the best that Wikipedia can give me.
yep.
That drawing. That looks like my kid drew it. That's the official design. See the guy standing there working the levers? He's standing up. driving it like do. This lever goes this way and this. Oh. At least he doesn't have to steer it with his butt cheeks like the other one. What the hell? Oh my God, that's so fucking silly. Holland was built at former Navy Lieutenant Lewis Nixon's Crescent Shipyard in Elizabeth, New Jersey, for John Holland's Holland Torpedo Boat Company, which became the Electric Boat Company in 1899. Why not? Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it stay the John Holland Company? Fuck yeah. The vessel was built under the supervision of John Philip Holland, who designed the vessel and her details. That's the rough sketch of Holland that I showed you. The rough sketch.
Hello.
The two men worked together. Oh wait. Holland's keel was laid at Nixon's Crescent Shipyard, with both men present. The two men worked together using many of John Holland's proven concepts and patents to make the submarine a reality, each man completing the other's contribution or complementing the other's contributions to the development of the modern submarine. John Holland was the inventor for U.S. patent 702,729 for the design of a submarine boat. Testing and training took place at the Holland Torpedo Boat Station from 1899 to 1900. Important contributions were also made by Arthur L. Bush, or Dubusk. I guess he had two last names. Crescent Superintendent. Holland 6 included many features that submarines of the early 20th century would exhibit, albeit in later, more advanced forms. There was a coning tower from which the boat and her weapons could be directed. Right, the coning tower, the part that stuck out of the fucking water. Coning tower is a raised platform on a ship or a submarine, often armored, from which an officer can charge and an officer in charge can conduct or control the vessel, controlling movements of the ship by giving orders to those responsible for the ship's engine, rudder, lines, and ground tackle. It is usually located as high on the ship as is practical to give the conning team good visibility of the entirety of the ship, ocean conditions, and other vessels. The term naval term con may be derived from the Middle English cone, study became antiquated with, or French conduire from Latin condurance, conduct.
Did they get it all?
Submarines, let's see. The sale of the French submarine Bridge Fairwater of the Polish submarine O.R. Orzel in 1940. Bridge Fairwater USS Pampatino. The boat's conning tower is more of a conning tube as it lies parallel with the main pressure hull, just over 6 meters, 20 feet long, with a diameter of roughly twice the distance between the weather deck and the bottom of the number 383. Early naval submarines were typically fitted with a small watertight protrusion on top of their hulls, from which the boat's crew could observe their surroundings through a number of viewports. As larger and larger submarines were made and eventually fitted with periscopes, this protrusion grew into a small pressure hull of its own, typically connected to the control room inside the boat's main pressure hull via a watertight hatch to mitigate the risk of flooding if the viewports or periscopes were damaged. Thus, the conning tower effectively became the boat's dedicated attack center, from which the commanding officer would command the boat while submerged. Some later 1930s designs even located their hydrophone, the radar operator stations inside the compartment to maximize the commander's situational awareness. So, that's the part where the people sit. In addition to their primary purpose, conning towers also serve as elevated attachments, points of air intake, magnetic compasses, and even collapsible open air bridges, as conning towers were eventually built large enough that crewmen could comfortably stand on top of them. The collapsing bridges gave way to fixed structures, leading to the development of so-called bridge fairway. To clarify, the conning tower is the small watertight compartment above the control room from which the boat's commanding officer would command the boat during submerged attacks. That's crazy. That's the part that they rammed through the ice. The bridge was built on top of, but not considered part of, the conning tower and was used for surface navigation and signaling. The fairwater is a streamlined casing around the conning tower and or around the bridge. The tapering off end of this casing also provides a sheltered location for the boat's air intakes, as well as an elevated base for various AA gun anti-aircraft platforms.
Yeah.
In the post-1950s era, an increased focus on deep submerged operation, together with improvements in technology that allowed periscopes to move a longer removed the need for a raised conning station. USS Triton, laid down 1956, was the last submarine to have a conning tower, after which the conning tower's function as an attack center was integrated into the control rooms of subsequent design. Thus, it is incorrect to refer to the sail or fresh or fair water as a modern submarine as a conning tower. So is the sail,
How are you feeling?
the sail or fin of a submarine is the tower-like structure found on the dorsal topside surface of submarine. Submarine sails once housed the conning tower, command and communication center, and continue to house the periscope, radar, and communication mass antennas. When above the water's surface, the sail serves as an observation platform. It also provides an entrance and exit point for the submarine that has enough freeboard to prevent the submarine from being swamped. Underwater, the sail acts as a vertical stabilizer. In some submarines, the sail also supports diving planes or fairwater planes, which are control surfaces used for depth control while underwater. So that's where the fucking control room is. So when you see that video of them crashing through the ice, and they show you that it's the sail that crashes through first, those guys are the first to feel the impact, and yet nothing, huh?
The 95% one.
Alright, there was a conning tower in which the boat. She also had all necessary ballast and trim to make her precise changes in depth and altitude underwater. Her crew was 6 men and maximum diving depth 75 feet. For armament, she had a reloadable 18-inch torpedo tube with 3 Whitehead Mark II torpedoes and an 8.425-inch pneumatic dynamite gun to blow in the bow. The dynamite gun's projectiles were called aerial torpedoes. A second dynamite gun in the stern was removed in 1900 to make room for an improved engine exhaust prior to delivery to the Navy. Oh look, it's the dumb Jew. Anti-Semitism. Get it right. I mean, I don't know why. See, this is one of those dumb Jew things. I have to keep fucking telling this guy. He's too stupid to get it. The Jews don't own the term Semitic. Semitic belongs to all of the people of the area. The Palestinians, the Assyrians, the Iranians, all of the people of that area are Semitic. Even black people of that area are Semitic. So the dumb Jews thinking they own that term really says a lot. For me, it's anti-Semitism. I'm very, very, extremely 100% proud of my anti-Semitism. And Semitism is Jewish supremacy, is showing Jews favor. And I don't believe anybody gets favor. But see, dumb Jews aren't going to acknowledge that because they don't want you knowing these things. They want to be able to say anti-Semitic or anti-Semitism, and you go, oh, no, wait a minute, buddy, I'm not saying that. Instead of going, fuck yeah, I'm absolutely proud of my anti-Semitism. You pieces of shit don't deserve any favor. You're the worst people in the world. You deserve the worst fucking that comes to you. Also, this is why a wild take. You can literally go on a tour on our subs. Yeah, you can go on a tour. Do it. Go on a tour, film it, have them take you deep down into the water and show us what it's all about. Prove me wrong, dumbass. Just another dumb Jew running his dumb Jew mouth. Doesn't know what the fuck he's saying. Can't actually debunk anything I have to say, so just has to get attention because they're stupid like that and they have to prove the point. Their arrogance doesn't let them, like, they have to say something. And he's too stupid to realize all he does is make my point for me. This is one of those people that says, oh, you can take flights in the southern hemisphere from South America to India, and you could take flights from South America to Australia. You could do that. Do it. You could take direct flights. No stops. Go ahead. Do it. So now we've gotten to this point where we're getting into a whole bunch of nothing details. Details about the guns and all that shit.
Don't say that.
She had both an internal combustion engine, a 4-stroke auto gasoline engine, which that makes sense, right? Gasoline engine deep down in the water, you want that.
It's been a while.
For running on the surface and charging batteries. So that was the normal boat engine. Yeah. So we're on the surface like a normal boat using a normal boat engine, a 4-stroke engine. And an electrodynamic electric motor of 58 shp, 37 kilowatts for submerged operation with one shaft. The electrodynamic company manufactured electric motors and generators from 1880 to the year 2000, principally as a subsidiary of the electric boat division of General Dynamics and its predecessors. The company was founded by electrical inventor William Woodnut Grissom in 1880. Here we go, another 1880 guy. I bet you he's a polymath. An important early customer for electric boat motors was the Electric Launch Company, also known as Elco. Chubby girl, are you going somewhere? Oh. Following 1892 bankruptcy, the financier Isaac Rice bailed out the electrodynamic and became the co-owner. Grissom died in a hunting accident. Of course he did. Those fucking Jews, man. Killing people, calling it a hunting accident. Electrodynamic manufactured the main propulsion motor for the USS Holland, the United States' first modern submarine. Launched in 1897. In 1899, Rice founded Electric Boat and made Electrodynamic and Elco subsidiaries, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, it's that's all you get. Yeah, it was a company. They made these things. Yeah. It allowed this. It allowed that. Significant variation in references as to the vessel's horsepower speed. For example, the register of ships gives the horsepower, blah, blah, service, blah, blah. I mean, that's it. There's nothing here. Highland 6 eventually proved her validity and worthiness as a warship and was ultimately purchased by the U.S. government for the sum of $150,000 on April 11, 1900. She was considered to be the first truly successful craft of her type. The United States government soon ordered more submarines from Holland's company, which were to be known as the Plunger class. These became America's first fleet of underwater vessels. Holland 6 was modified after her christening and was renamed United States Submarine Torpedo Boat Holland Submarine 1 when she was commissioned. Who cares? During her commission life in the UN, the Holland did not carry the hull designation SSS-1. The designation system currently in use was placed on naval regulations on July 17, 1920. Thus, the Holland would have never been assigned. Who gives a shit what she's assigned? The first commissioned submarine in the U.S. Navy, and I'm just skipping over a bunch of other bullshit about the name. first commissioned submarine in U.S. Navy, and the first of the unbroken line of submarines in the Navy. She was the fourth submarine to be owned by the Navy. However, the first submarine was Propeller, also known as Alligator. The second was Intelligent Whale. The third was Plunger, an experimental submarine built in 1895, which is not to be confused with the USS Plunger SS2 on October 16, 1900, in order to be kept serviceable throughout the winter. Holland left Newport under tow of the tug Leiden for Annapolis, Maryland, where she was used to train midshipmen of the United States Naval Academy, as well as officers and enlisted men ordered there to receive training vital in prepping for operation of other submarines being built for the fleet. Holland provided valuable experimental purposes in collecting data for submarines under construction or contemplation. Her 166-mile surface run from Annapolis to New York, Virginia, from January 8th to January 10th, 1901, provided useful data on her performance underway over an extended period. Yeah, a fucking 166-mile surface run. This is a submarine. Who gives a fuck? It's a boat, right? Holland, briefly in 1889 on trials, and 5 Plunger-class Holland-type submarines were based in Suffolk, New York, on the North Fork of Long Island from 1899 to 1905, prompting the hamlet to claim to be the first submarine base in the United States. Again, shit that just doesn't matter, except for a period from June 15th to October 1st, 1901, which was past training cadets at Naval Torpedo Station, Newport, Rhode Island. Holland remained at Annapolis as a training submarine until July 17th, 1905, when she was decommissioned. So it never actually worked. Do you understand? That's what they're saying, right? It was towed to where it went, or it went along the surface, and then it was used as a training sub. So guys got to get inside it and fuck around, but Holland finished her career in reserve at Norfolk, Virginia. Her name was struck from the Naval Vessel Register on November 20th, 1910. This revolutionary submarine was sold as scrap to Henry A. Hinter and Sons in Philadelphia. Here's that Henry A. Hinter and Sons of Philadelphia on June 18th, 1913 for $100. $100. Her purchaser was required to put up $5,000 bond as assurance that the submarine would be broken up and not used as a ship. What kind of weird shit is that? About 1915, the hulk of the Holland, stripped of her external fittings, was sold to Peter J. Gibbons. As of October 1916, she was on display in Philadelphia. In May 1917, she was moved to the Bronx, New York, as a featured attraction for the Bronx International Expedition of Science, Arts, and Industries, one of those World Fair things. Holland was on display for several years in Paterson, New Jersey, until she was finally scrapped in 1932. Man, that's convenient, isn't it? I mean, isn't it strange how every single thing I've read has been sketchy, to say the least? I mean, you have to acknowledge that. This shit is sketchy. Why is every single one of these, like, why haven't I looked stupid yet? Okay, so we just did the Holland. I guess we got to do part 4 tomorrow because we have to keep going. So, you guys have a great fucking day. You Israelis, pedophiles, kill yourselves. Let's get rid of you guys as soon as we can. Pedophiles, kill yourself. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to get your free download, www.the-bilderberg, bilderberg-group.com. It's music. Go check it out. It's free. I'll put the link in the description. You can download it for free. All you got to do is put a 0 in the payment box. You could put 100,000 million billion fulfilling dollars in if you wanted to, but you could put a 0 and it's free. So go check it out. See ya. Pedophiles kill yourself.